Welcome on into the Tuesday Live, where me and Bobby break down the weekly fantasy football waiver wire. We're talking week 11 already. The regular season for fantasy football is almost over. Regular season for regular football is almost over. Weather's getting colder, but the playoff race is heating up. Bobby, you locked up a playoff spot, not the first seed. You're currently in the first seed, but you locked up a playoff spot coming in, man. Do you feel like doing these lives and making those articles every week over on bettergreen.com, has that helped elevate your game? And the people that watch and they tune in, is this something too that if people, they take the time to read the articles, to join the discussions, that they too can be locking up early playoff spots?
Yeah, 100%. If you had been following us pretty much from the beginning, you would have had Kate Otten 2 weeks before anybody else. You would have had John Mechie at least a week before anybody else, for example, because it's looking like Mechie's heating up. You
Tucker
would
Craft.
have sold very, very high on Xavier Worthy like week 1 or 2 of this season. You would have sold high on Garrett Wilson. You would have sold high on Jordan Addison. You would have bought low on guys like Terry McLaurin. You would have bought low on who else was another good buy low I had. I had a bunch of sell highs, so you should have been
Yeah.
able to pretty much get whatever you wanted to buy off the sell
Yes.
highs alone. That's for sure. So, yeah, 100% for sure. It's definitely helped out quite a bit being able to get ahead of everything and just kind of figure out, okay, who's capable of sustaining this progress and who's just looking like fool's gold.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And every week, Bobby's been posting articles. I believe, sorry guys, the buy sell, the fantasy football trade articles, they're over, guys. Last week was the last article, so hopefully you guys got those trades. And I know for us at least, this week is the ending of our trade deadline. So there's a lot of trades floating around our leagues right now. I can't believe it's almost over, man. It flew by. Any thoughts before we start getting into some of these guys on your article?
Yeah, just no buy sell trade anymore because most people are like us. Their deadline's going to be before kickoff this week. And at this point, like I said, you should have known and should have been able to reap some pretty handsome profits on a lot of those candidates and pretty much been able to get whatever you wanted. And in the first like few iterations of that, I was even giving you I was going above and beyond saying these are players I'd rather have over these sell high. So if you can sell high for XYZ players, I would do it. So just really a testament to the type of quality work you get from Better and Green.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely couldn't agree anymore. We're going to start by breaking down your article, Bobby, and then we'll break down a couple other sections that we have in this show. But the first one we have is the Week 11 waiver article. You can find it right now on bettergreen.com. That's better, BETTOR green.com. Guys, if you haven't checked it out yet, the website is getting an overhaul. It looks completely different. I kind of like it. There's probably still going to be a little few changes here and there. It's going to be completely new by January. This is kind of the transition phase right here. So let us know what you guys think of the new website. Bobby, first up is a guy that I posted actually in the Discord asking the question about, because I believe he was anytime touchdown at plus 640. That's Odell Beckham of the Miami Dolphins. He's your first one here. It's interesting because we were both kind of thinking it. What are you seeing about Odell that's kind of having alarms go off for you that maybe this is a guy you should be after?
Yeah, I posted this yesterday before that game even started. And in the article, I even said, hey, I'm looking at Odell because he's available in my 12-team league. That's a very deep league. So he's still out there. So I know he's probably in a lot of other 12-teamers as well. And then obviously anything below that, you're able to get them if you need them. I had Jonathan Mingo picked up, saw he was a healthy scratch in time, swapped him out. And it's like, okay, if I left Jonathan Mingo in, he would have gotten me 0.
Right.
Odell only got me 2. And yeah, 2 sucks. And it's 2 points I didn't need in a match I won pretty handily in that league. But I look at it like this. I'd rather take a chance on a guy who can at least get me 2 points and keep somebody in my lineup that I can still have on my bench and I don't have to drop, but I know for sure they're going to get me 0. And I mean, some people have, lost or won matches by more or less than 2 points. So if you needed 2 points, that helped because you could have easily lost by 2 points. But I mean, he's just like in those deep, deep leagues, he's just as good a dart throw as anybody. Like I even said, I think Tyreek's going to be active. Tyreek was active. So even with Tyreek active, it was 2 points. But I mean, he's just a great speculative little flyer for situations like that where you're just like, man, I barely missed that this guy was a healthy scratch or a last minute like practice warm up injury type guy or whatever. Let me just slot Odell in. You could do a lot worse. So
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I didn't take the chance with Tyreek. I ended up playing Sterling Shepard, and ouch, that one hurt. But I still was able to scrape by a win, anyways, thanks to the newly acquired Burrow Chase stack. So about this second guy you have on here, Audric Estime. Sorry, had a cough there. Yeah, pretty interesting guy. He got some work this last week against the Chiefs. What are you seeing with Audric?
somebody that down the line, good fill in for injuries, good fill in for buys, potentially, especially for dynasty. I put him on there mainly for dynasty players. He's a great buy now at dynasty because even though he's put up his highest points total of the season and been the most involved he's been, it's still only good for 5 points. So you have a lot of people out there that are probably going to think that this is their chance to like sell high, or they're not even selling high. They're just like, eh, I'm just tired of it. It's a good excuse as any to get rid of him. So he's more so of a dynasty buy for our dynasty players. I think you're not really going to get much out of him down the stretch here in the last few weeks of the regular season. Not enough, at least, to like push you over the edge in the playoffs if you're right there on the bubble or whatever. But I mean, crazier things have happened, right? Like the Broncos don't look as bad as they did in the beginning. They're looking pretty decent now, very competitive against the Chiefs in this
Mm-hmm.
last game. Nobody expected that with the Chiefs having such a stout defense, and he was able to squeak out at least 5 against them. I mean, this is one of those times where coach speak kind of turned out to be true, and they have gotten them more involved, but overall, it's like I don't know. I still believe in Javante. I think they can coexist. Him and Estime. There's no room for anybody else. McLaughlin. Excuse me, a little scratch in my throat. But I don't know. They could be a 1-2 punch down the stretch, but it's just so hard for me to see that from a redraft. That's why I'm just really pushing Dynasty. But I mean, the Broncos' run game's not the best part of their game right now if you don't have Bo Nix. Bo Nix vultures a lot of opportunities, gets a lot of opportunities himself. But I mean, once again, he's available in a 12-teamer. I'm anticipating he's probably available in other 12-teamers. It's a really good dart throw, kind of lottery ticket type situation, but more so dynasty buy low opportunity.
Yeah, I like it, man. I completely agree with if you're looking at the future of that Denver backfield, I would rather have Steam than having McLaughlin. That's a guy we've been low on all offseason and this season. Your next guy is a guy I was pretty high on coming into the season and has unfortunately now knocked one of the guys I was even higher on down and out of the active lineup. That's Gus Edwards coming in for the Los Angeles Chargers. I believe he had like 10 carries last week. I think he had double digit carries. Did decent. Makes me sad that Kamani Vidal got knocked out of the starting rotation. I just have such high hopes for that guy. But Gus, man, the Gus bus is back. I really do like this pick, especially at this point in the season. I don't know what guy you can get that's going to be higher upside than Gus Edwards right now.
Right. Yeah, Gus Edwards was on IR, came back from IR, posted the highest rushing total on the team, 55 yards. I believe is good for 9 points. Beat Dobbins by 2. I still think Dobbins is the guy to own, but Gus Edwards would be mixed in there more so than anybody else to give Dobbins breathers and maybe be more like of a battering ram type thing. So yeah, Gus Edwards, another guy available in our 12-teamer. So I figured he was probably rage dropped in a bunch of other leagues too if he couldn't even be held on to in a 12-teamer. Even like less leagues with less people definitely probably have him out there. So yeah, I think Gus Edwards is going to be another great bye week filler. Might heat up down the stretch. Maybe they start to turn that backfield into like a two-headed monster type thing to preserve the health of both of them and to get both of them, leading the team to real life wins and real life playoff appearances, things of that nature. So yeah, I think in redraft he's like a a great pickup pretty much because he's going to be able to have a role of his own, if nothing else, as an elite level handcuff. But I think he could have some standalone value too, with like a floor of probably 7 and a ceiling of like probably 11 right now. So not the best, but once again, it's very much hyperbole to talk about league winner this and league winner that. But I mean, this is a guy that could have a pretty substantial role that you're getting for free off waivers or you're putting a little bit of fab on. So,
Yep. Nope. I like it. I like this next pick even more. Kind of flew underneath my radar, but as I'm looking at it in your article, man, I kind of feel like you're right here. That's Mac Hollins, wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. Coleman out, Cooper out, Kincaid possibly out. A lot of these guys are banged up right now. Mac Hollins has always kind of shown that, like, he's not the number one guy, but when called upon, like, he can be more than decent. He can be pretty serviceable. He's kind of like, old boy Cole Beasley.
oh yeah,
he
yeah,
kind of reminds
Cole
me.
Beasley would be on the field, yeah.
He kind of reminds me of him. Bobby, what are you thinking about Mac Hollins? Is this just a guy that right now with this receiving core so banged up, it's kind of someone's going to have to eat here? I think Dawson Knox gets a little more involved, but Mac Hollins, it makes sense that he's going to be the guy kind of stepping into that Coleman Cooper hybrid role.
Yeah, I mean, Curtis Samuel had 10 games, ain't shown up to 6 of them, ain't killed a motherfucker yet. You got him, just crickets.
Right.
Kincaid, we don't know the extent of the knee issue. Could be nothing, could be something, could be dead. Maybe he's been writing his obituary. Nobody knows.
Right.
Who else? Oh, yeah, Cooper with the wrist, Coleman with the wrist. Guys, it's No Nut November. Come the fuck on. I'm just saying. But no, Mac Hollins is going to be, injuries. When you literally have everybody, Kincaid, top dog, Coleman, top dog, Cooper, top dog, all 3 top dogs are out. You got to throw the ball to somebody. And like I said, Curtis Samuel's not stepping up. Like you said, maybe Dawson Knox. Maybe they'll give some more receptions to the running backs, things of that nature. But at the end of the day, you still have to have a wide receiver and then like the second tier tight end or somebody to do something. And yeah, he's not once again a league winner, but he's a great fill in. And right now, as long as at least one of those guys, if not possibly more, once again, we're still kind of getting clarity on all 3 injuries by all 3 guys. One of them, 2 of them, all 3, it doesn't matter. Anybody stays unhealthy for an extended period of time, he's going to instantly get into a bigger role. He's going to be looked to more often. And once again, that's a guy available on a 12-team waiver. So he's easily accessible out there and a great bye-week fill-in on a pretty strong, potent offense. It's going to be looking to throw the ball with some tougher matchups coming. They're not going to be able to just lean on that run game. They're going to have to air it out a little bit more, and somebody's got to catch it if those guys aren't suiting up or they're not at 100% and limited. So Mac Hollins could be that guy.
I love it. I love that you didn't go Khalil Shakir here. You went with the big body Mac Hollins, and I like that, man.
Right.
Guys, we do have some honorable mentions. If you do want to see them, you're going to have to go to bettergreen.com. And while you're over there, guys, we have all of our friends, and one of them is Sleeper. You see down in the bottom left corner. Right now, if you guys deposit your first deposit up, they're going to match it up to $100. So we're going to make it really easy for you. When you go to the website to look up Bobby's article, that's bettergreen.com, BETTOR green.com. Click on that Sleeper image, and it'll take you so you guys to sign up and start making money right now. Bobby, you ready to talk about some of the most added players this week over on Sleeper?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We call this segment the Slam or Scam. Are these players slams? Are these players scams? We don't give you guys kickers. We don't give you defensive teams. What we do give you guys are the top 10 most added players according to Sleeper. Let's talk about number 1, which, by the way, number 1 this week is a Houston Texans defense. Let me try real quick to hop over here. It opened up in the Scott Fishbowl app. I like going from our league app. Okay, number 1 with 549.4 thousand ads, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. All right, Bobby. What do you think? Slam or scam? I'm going to say for MVS, if I'm going to be surprised, I'm going to say slam for MVS. And this is my thought process here. Olave, I don't know about him. I do know that old homeboy, the number 2, can't think of his name right now. I'm blanking on it.
Shaheed.
Shahid, yep, is out for the season. MVS, I think he's actually a decent pickup for the Saints. I think they need some more people to throw to. Um, Derek Carr, he's got an arm that can make these deep balls for MVS more than catchable, more than serviceable. Um, I think MVS can be decent. I don't really want to play him, but like this week against Cleveland, like if you really need a bye week filler, which there's quite a few buys this week, I don't think MVS is a horrible pickup. What do you think?
This one's tough because New Orleans is the most bipolar team. They
Mm-hmm.
started off the first 3 weeks looking like world beaters and then quickly fell off the face of the earth. And I mean, looking at their schedule, I mean, they actually have a surprisingly soft defensive schedule until they come to Green Bay in week 16. But I mean, is that enough? I don't know. The Rams are bipolar. One minute the Rams can't stop a nosebleed, the next minute they're holding the Dolphins to, barely any points and all that. So I don't know. I was originally going to say scam for him just because I don't like how those numbers are heavily boosted by 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit concerning because
No,
that's
agreed.
a huge part of it. I mean, he did have 109 yards, so that's nice. 40-yard bomb, 67-yard bomb. It's just kind of concerning considering how it's these huge plays that he's picking this up on. So you have to wonder if it's sustainable. But I mean, Cleveland, other than Denzel Ward's not really good at stopping the pass. The Rams, who knows? But the Giants aren't stopping the pass. The Commanders aren't. Green Bay, like I said, is decent. And then Vegas isn't stopping the pass in 17. So I don't know. Maybe he would. Maybe he is a good bye week fill in. It's just kind of concerning. But like you said, Olave's gone. Shahid's gone. They have A.T. Perry, who's shown nothing. He's on the team as a receiver.
Bub.
Somebody else.
Bub
Yeah,
means.
Bub Means is a receiver. So maybe he's not. Maybe he's not. I'll say slam.
All right, let's talk about Audric Estime, second most added player, 544.7 thousand ads, running back for the Denver Broncos. Especially because, like, when we're talking about waivers, um, a lot of the times we're talking redraft. So I'm
Right.
gonna say scam for redraft, like you said in the article. Like, you know what? If it's a dynasty league, he's worth a pickup. I don't argue with that, but I think right here when we're talking waivers, I don't really have much of a desire to have a teammate this year.
Yeah, for this year in redraft, no. But if you're in a dynasty team, sure. If he's available, go for it.
All right, we're gonna move on quick because we talked about him already. So, Houston Texans are 1, Detroit Lions are 4. Like I said, we don't do kickers or defense, so we're gonna go to John Mechie at 3, 271.1 thousand ads, wide receiver for the Houston Texans. Mechie finally got involved, man. I'm happy for him. I was really happy to see that. I don't know, Bobby. What do you think? Is he a slam or is he a scam?
I think Mechie is. I don't know. That team is interesting because it definitely looks like Stroud's going through a bit of a sophomore slump.
Mm-hmm.
With as many picks as Golf was throwing, they should not have lost that game. I get that there was the missed field goal, but for it to even come down to a field goal shouldn't have even happened in the first place. To be put in that position to where you're relying on that to win is just very egregious. The defense looked really fucking good, which was shocking because I mean I knew that they had like good corners and everything, but man, they were playing the game of their life on that damn defensive
I
side of the
know.
ball. So I mean, Collins is supposed to come back, but Diggs is still out. So the rule of one, you add one, subtract one, all that. So Diggs is still subtracted, but you add Collins back in. So now you have Collins. He's going to command targets. Dell's going to command targets, even though most of those, like 2 of those CJ Stroud interceptions, funny enough, were both when he was targeting Tank Dell. So that was kind of crazy.
Hmm.
But I mean, Dell's still going to get his targets. Collins is going to be the king of it. I think there's a place for Mechie because Hutchinson, I talked about Hutchinson. It's not him when Collins was out. It's not Hutchinson. I don't even know who's behind him. Schultz is getting a little bit more work, but I mean, one game's an outlier from a whole sample size of 9 other weeks where he's done nothing and they haven't used him for anything. Maybe. I mean, he is the healthiest he's been. I mentioned in the article because I talked about picking him up like last week or the week before. It's like this is the healthiest he's been before.
Mhm.
And this was before he scored a touchdown, put up more points. So once again, if you would have been reading and following along, you wouldn't be fighting everybody else in your team on waivers right now for Mechie. You would have had him a week early. But I mean, he had the draft pedigree coming out of college. He was at Alabama, one of those all-star receivers on Alabama with like the same team that had JMO and I think it was JMO, Devontae Smith, and I forget the other guy that was on the Alabama team, but it was pretty insane.
Yeah.
So he had the pedigree, the draft capital, the skills, all that going for him, and then unfortunately he missed his whole rookie season. Came back last year, obviously, still though he's only a year separated. Now that he's 2 years separated from that diagnosis, healthier, 2 years deeper into the playbook, training camp, all that could be a role for him here in the future. Kind of feel a little bit now that I'm talking about more like in the Steve May situation, though, in which I'd rather have him in a dynasty league instead of a redraft. But now's the time to get him before somebody else in your dynasty league snatches them up.
I agree. I agree. I think I'm gonna have to say scam on Mechie just for the factor that you're never gonna be able to rely on him. Like the consistency's just not gonna be there with him, and we're getting such
Right.
pivotal weeks that I don't want to trust him. Like I'd rather take the shot on MVS than like okay. We're like you said, we're seeing the tight ends get more involved. Not just Dalton Schultz, but Cade Stover too is getting
Oh, yeah.
some more work. Yeah, Nico's coming back. I mean, what he had 6 targets last week, and he had 4, 5, 6, 7 all the rest of the season combined. Like
Right.
it worries me, man. And he had 4 catches on all those, so he had more catches last week than he did all the rest of the season. Granted, he didn't play the first 3 games, but still, man, it's not doing it for me. It's just this is too critical of a time to be relying on some guy like Mechie. So, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to scam Mechie here.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm a contender, it sucks because this is also the highest points total MVS has put up like
Right,
all season, and like
right,
he's missed so many games and everything. But it's like the potential for consistency, maybe like I said, the ceiling's 26, but maybe the floor is a little bit more tolerable. Whereas with Mechie, there is no floor.
right.
Uh, yeah, I guess I'd rather, if I was a contender, if I actually had a shot at playoffs, I'd rather have MVS. I think I can agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about number 4. We got Russell Wilson, quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 259.9 thousand ads. Russell's look good, coming off a 3 touchdown game. He gets Baltimore this week. Really, his schedule's not that bad. I mean, I guess if you need a quarterback, I'm going to say Slam. Because I don't really have any argument why not. Russell's looked great.
I forget what I said about him. I think he was on one of my sell articles a few weeks ago because he put up massive points in his debut with the Steelers and
Right,
everything. So I still agree you should have sold him for a haul because going down the line into playoffs and whatnot, you're not going to get any more value from him than what you could have had in that first game back with all the hype and everything else. Because I mean, surprisingly well against the Commanders. They won that game, I believe. But I mean, he's got brutal, and I mentioned this in the Cell article why you should give him up after that first game that he had when he put up 27 damn points against the Jets, and then dropped to 11. Now he's back to 21 after the bye. But this is why I said you should have sold him as high as fucking Willie Nelson. Week 11, week 11 this week, Baltimore. Pretty tough defense. It's going to be a shootout. I don't think he can keep up. Week 12, Cleveland. Going to be a pretty tough defense. 13 at the Bengals. Actually, might be a tough defense. They gave the Ravens hell. I didn't expect them to in their second meeting, but man, I went to sleep before at halftime because I thought it was just going to be a punt fest because of how the Bengals came to play defense. So they could actually do something to the Steelers. back to Cleveland, 15 at Philly. That Philly team's getting better with their defense. They got some young linebackers and some young corners that are starting to make some noise now quietly.
Mhm.
And I think they're going to give him hell in 15. 16, he's back to Baltimore. 17, he's against Kansas City. I don't want to play him or start him against any of those defenses. That is pretty much from week 11 all the way up until 17, the worst stretch of defenses I can imagine a quarterback playing, you know?
That's fair.
Like
That's
having
fair.
to start Kansas City against Kansas City, Baltimore twice, Philly, Cleveland twice. Like the only one that I'd maybe be like, okay. And there's potential for shootouts with all those because, Eagles are going to probably shoot it out. Baltimore is going to shoot it out. Kansas City, I don't know. It depends. They're pretty good at just dunking and dinking and just
Right.
doing enough. Bengals could be a shootout. Cleveland, it depends on if JMO wants to go deep. I mean, Jameson wants to go deep. Like,
Right.
I mean, if you need a quarterback and he's available for sure, it's just
Mhm.
those that run of defenses is really scaring me. And it's like, yeah, they added Mike Williams, but it's still Mike Williams and Pickens driving the
Right.
boat. And other than that, it's like they're gonna find themselves down early in those games. Like I said, I
Mhm.
feel like they're gonna just instantly be boom, 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 boom. And it's like answer fast, or just turn into a slug match. And it's like, are they gonna have the potential to keep up? I don't know.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Let's talk about this guy, tight end, 179.8 thousand ads. That's Jonnu Smith, tight end for the Miami Dolphins. Really good last 2 weeks. Really last 4 weeks. 7 targets, 6 targets, 6 targets, 4 targets. Um, you're looking at he is tight end one back in week 7, and then 34, 16, 16. So he is serviceable in 2 tight end leagues, and that is I think where I would draw the no go. Like
Right.
if you're not in a 2 tight end league, you don't have to start 2 tight ends. I wouldn't even bother picking up Jonnu. So I'll say scam just for that reason. But it's like you got Tyreek, Odell's healthier now. You got Waddle. You just have too many options. Achan, and then you can always dump it off to him. You can dump it off to Mostert. Jalen Wright's still there. So Jonnu, it's like he's been great, and we actually gave away a signed Jonnu picture at the Fantasy Football Expo this year. So it's kind of funny to see him making a little emergence here. But yeah, unfortunately for Jonnu, I think it's going to be a scam for me.
Yeah, I agree. If you're not in a deep league or if you're not in a two tight end league, there's not really much to look at here.
No, I got no in the comments here. He says if you need Jonnu Smith this late in the year, you're cooked. I
Yeah, pretty
agree.
much.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I had him in our 12 teamer at the beginning, but I mean, I also had like Isaiah Likely after that monster performance,
Yep.
Pitts, Laporta. Like, I didn't really need a fourth tight end, so I ended up dropping him, and I don't think he's been claimed ever since then. So it's kind of telling you something in it. Oh, actually, he did. He got picked up, but I mean, it took a while. He sat there for almost a whole month before he finally got picked up again. So that's
Yeah,
telling you something.
it is. It is. And hey, this next guy, number 5, 176.7 thousand ads. Running back for the Los Angeles Charger, Gus Edwards. We were talking about him earlier from your article, Bobby. I mean, once again, this is like a good insurance hedge. Like I think J.K. Dobbins is still the guy there, but if he gets hurt, then Gus Edwards is there, and if not, Gus Edwards is going to see some work. I wouldn't start him, but if you're really really thin at running back, you have a whole bunch of kind of lower tier receivers, and you're like, okay, I can get rid of one of these guys. I would pick up Gus.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think Gus, yeah, if you're just kind of injury bound, buy heavy coming up, that type of thing, he's definitely worth a look.
Yeah. Let's see. Next one, number 6, is quarterback for the Denver Broncos. 168.1 thousand ads. Bo Nix. I'm kind of surprised Bo Nix was still available in this many leagues.
I'm gonna say, who's
Honestly,
dropping Bo next? Show your hands.
he plays Atlanta this week. Great matchup. Then Vegas, Cleveland, a bye to start the playoffs. That does suck. Then Indy, Chargers, Cincinnati, and then they face Kansas City again once fantasy season's over, or at least it should be over for everybody. If you're playing the last week of the regular season, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, you know what? I I think Bo Nix with that rushing upside that he has, I like him. I like him a lot. I think I would pick up Bo Nix over Russell Wilson that we were talking about earlier. What do you think, Bobby?
I think anybody that dropped Bo Nix, especially in 2 quarterback leagues or deep leagues or just any league at all that's not more than just a 1 man league, I'm hitting you on the head with a rolled up newspaper right on the
Bonk.
nose. Right on the nose. Rolled up newspaper, bonk on your nose. You shame on you. You disgusting, disgusting human beings. I'm not even gonna
Hey,
dignify anything else with more of a response.
go back to your crate. Go to your room.
Right. You know better. You know better.
No pissing on the carpet.
Exactly. Stick
Uh,
your nose in it.
let's talk about number 7. We have 122.2 thousand ads. Wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers, Ricky Pearsall.
Once
Interesting
again,
one.
why'd you drop him? Why was he dropped? Who'd you pick up?
Right. Right. With
Who'd
the
you pick
Ayuk
up?
injury, that's such a good point. Like they do have a tough schedule. Seattle, Green Bay, Buffalo, Chicago, Rams, Miami, Detroit. Still, I think I would say Ricky's probably wide receiver 2 right now. The way I'm looking at it, like this is not kind of Kittle. Obviously, Kittle's and Debo go for that 1A, 1B. But Ricky, he's like a really decent guy. It just what does worry me, McCaffrey's back now. And I wonder how many dump offs and how many targets McCaffrey's going to get. And I think they're still going to want to get Jordan Mason involved as well. Yeah, I mean, slam or scam. I'm going to say slam for Ricky because I know who's coming next. Bobby, what do you think?
I definitely would take Ricky in a heartbeat. If he was on waivers in any of my super competitive 65-man leagues, but I mean, I play in real leagues, so.
I like it, man. This is why I said slam on Ricky because at number 8 we have 155.6 thousand ads, wide receiver, also for the San Francisco 49ers, Juwan Jennings. I'm gonna say scam on Jennings. I just think right now there's not enough food to go around.
Fucking hate this guy. Uh, I'd rather have Pearsall. I'd rather have Pearsall. No matter what league I'm in, I'd rather have Pearsall over Jawan Jennings every time. 60% of the time, it works every time. I'd rather have Pearsall. I mean, if you can't have Pearsall and Jennings is available, sure, but it's kind of like going into a fucking fancy restaurant and asking for ribeye and they come out with fucking fancy feast cat food. It's kind of maybe if you squint the same thing, just in different form. But once you taste it, you'll be able to tell the difference real quick.
Yes, yes. Let's talk about number 9, wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, 114.8 thousand ads, Jerry Jeudy.
How many times do we have to do that?
It feels like we talk about it every week.
4th or 5th time. Pick them up, drop them. Pick them up, drop them. Pick them up, drop them.
What are you people expecting? He had
Fuck?
8 targets last week, 11 targets last week. No, sorry, he was on bye last week. Let me start that over. 3 weeks ago he had 8 targets. 2 weeks ago he had 11. Bye last week. So 2 games of 70 yards. Guys, he's got Jameis now. Like, what do you want? What do you want from Jerry Jeudy, and what do you want from a waiver ad in week 11? Like, come on,
League
guys.
winner. I want a league winner. A league winner.
No, we're making fun of him. Can I give you the number 10?
Go ahead.
Number 10, 98.5 thousand ads, running back for the Arizona Cardinals, Trey Benson. We have arrived.
There you go.
I'm glad that we get to see him a little bit. If Connor's not going to get hurt this year, at least he's going to get some love here at the end. 10 carries, 62 yards, 2 catches on 2 targets for 25 yards. Looking at this right now. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games over 4 yards a carry. 2 of those, he didn't have any carries. So there's only been 1 game this season where he's been under 4 yards a carry.
Yeah, you need to sell him to me. I've been trying to get him for pretty much ever since the draft now. I've been trying to get him, so that's all I can say about that.
Trey Benson, man. That's a guy that me and Bobby both been high on all off season. Just a really, really good player. And you're kind of waiting for a Connor injury for him to really be able to be a starting guy for you. But they're starting to trust him a little more. And maybe he can work in there and be not quite like a David Montgomery to a Gibbs, but like, I don't know. Like a much lesser. Much lesser
Yeah,
Montgomery.
kind of like a Walmart version of that.
Yeah, the great value. Great
Yeah.
value Montgomery. Noah says Jerry Judy's been better than Tyreek Hill, so that's something. LOL. He has, dude.
I mean, it's pretty accurate.
He has. That's what happens,
Not
man.
even debatable right now.
It's not. It's not. Let's talk about the guys. We just said all the ones that got added and they're feeling good. It's unfortunately the part of the show where we have to be a little sad and talk about the ones that left us a little bit too soon. Bobby, you ready?
That's good.
All right, we have a bunch of kickers and defenses again. But number one most drop player, God, it's almost comedic, dude. Number one most drop, 204.4 thousand drops, Khalil Herbert, aka the number one most added guy last week.
Yeah, I could see why. Could see a little bit why, but at the same time, this is the guy's first game with the Bengals. Yeah, it was rough. Believe he fumbled, but I mean, come on now.
Was that Herbert? I think that was Brown that fumbled.
I thought like Herbert fumbled, but they managed to recover it. Like he came in, I think it was actually like his very first snap. Came in, took it, fumbled, recovered it, and then they immediately benched him for a little bit.
Because I have Sleeper could be wrong, but for Herbert, 2% of snaps, 0 carries, 0 targets. Like I just have all zeros for him.
I could have sworn he had a carry in that game. Because that was his first game with the Bengals, right?
Yes.
Huh. Maybe I'm going crazy.
And my
Maybe
thing is if he's the number one most added, so that means people are spending fab and blowing their waiver priorities all on this dude, and then just instantly after the first week of him on a new team with 2% of the snap share said, nope, I'm done.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about that. That's been the biggest struggle with me with fab is like realizing, okay, I've spent money on this person. How long should I hold them?
Right. You don't. Like with this guy, everybody says bye. It's like, okay, if he has a great game this week, you know what's going to happen? Everybody's going to be rushing right back for him. It's just, it's goofy to me when we see guys go from the number one most added to number one most dropped. Let's talk about this next guy. 159.1 thousand drops. Parker Washington, Jacksonville, wide receiver. I do agree with this one.
Yes, I do as well. Because, I mean, who knows if, I mean, how the hell did Mac Jones do well at Alabama? I don't know. I don't understand. But he ain't looking good with the Jaguars. Is he going to turn it around? I really don't know if I want to see, but all you can do right now is just bench all Jags players until you do see something, especially a Jags player that's only in the role that he is now because of the Kirk injury and because Davis was banged up. It's not like he earned that role because he's going out there playing, showing something. He's got it just because he's next man up due to injury. And I don't feel comfortable starting even the studs on the Jags. So I damn sure want no parts of Parker Washington.
No. Let's see. Number 3, Sterling Shepard, 158.4 thousand drops. I disagree with this one. I mean, I'm a guy who started Sterling Shepard and was very unhappy with how he performed, but still, Godwin's gone for the season. Evans is probably going to come back here soon, but still, he came back and instantly re-injured his hamstring that we saw. So it's I don't know how healthy Evans is, and I know that Kate Otten, once again, one of the guys we were pounding the table for way earlier in the year, is going to be the main target guy there, but Sterling Shepard, out of all the receivers there, okay. I like Jalen McMillan, but I think Sterling Shepard has the highest. I won't say highest. Yeah, no, I'm gonna say it. Highest floor is what I feel like.
Right. Yeah, Sterling Shepard, definitely has a place. I wouldn't be parting with him so quickly after that. I mean, Mike Evans could be coming back soon, but even if he does come back, this is already the second time he's aggravated that hamstring
Mhm.
injury. Could he re-aggravate it again? The data certainly seems to indicate that he's at further risk of re-injury and ending up right back on IR, held out for the rest of the season. You're not going to see any more Godwin. So other than Otten, they have given a little bit more receptions to Irving and to White, but other than that, they have to keep targeting somebody. So yeah, I'd still hold on to Shepard.
Yeah. The next guy, dude, Matt Stafford, 153.5 thousand drops.
Pick
I
up, put
mean,
down, pick up.
yeah, yeah. I mean, dude looked good with Puka and Cup, and then comes in against the Dolphins and doesn't look very good. I think that this is just the Matt Stafford that we're gonna have to deal with. You either keep him or you don't. And so it's like all the people dumping him. I don't blame them, but at the same time, like, who are you picking up? Hopefully, you're picking up somebody that you need. Maybe these are people that have 3 quarterbacks and they're past their bias and they don't need him anymore. But Matt Stafford, I mean, he's still got the weapons. It's just this is not a great offense that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Stafford, if you're in a 2 QB league, a super flex league, or whatever, who are you dropping them for? But I mean, if you don't need them in a 2 QB or super flex, I get it. But other than that, I mean, you should probably be holding on to them because if you're dropping them at this point in the season, you're probably not getting somebody that can put up the points he can.
Right. Right. Right here, number 5, most drop. One of Stafford's receivers is Demarcus Robinson. I don't get why everybody's dropping him because you knew what he was. Like, a ton of people just pick him up last week, and I missed that because he had that like one good game. He had 2 touchdowns. Once again, this is not hate on Demarcus Robinson. This is just we've known what he is, and he had a big game. Okay, like that's great, but like that's not what you expect. That's not what you think when you have him on your team or when you pick him up. Anybody that picked him up thinking that that was going to repeat was a fool. And so everybody dropping him, it's like, why'd you pick him up in the first place? Like you should have known who he was already.
Right, because if you don't have Puka and if you don't have Cup, you're just kind of fighting for scraps at that point.
Right, right. Or Kyron.
Right, or Kyra now.
All right, number what is it? 6, 146.8 thousand drops. Mason Tipton. Do you know what Mason Tipton and a bag of T. Lipton have in common?
Ooh, what's up?
Both scored 0 fantasy points last week.
Wowzers.
Both had 0 receptions and 0 targets and 0 touchdowns.
Isn't he the other New Orleans guy I was trying to think of?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah. He was like one of the top 3 most added guys last week.
Yeah. No.
Fools, man. Fools. Who is picking up? If anybody started Mason Tipton, I mean, I know it's hard out in these streets, but damn, bro. Like, I hope times get better for you.
Right. If you're starting Mason Tipton, just go ahead and look up league punishments, buddy. Go ahead.
That is fucking facts, dude.
Start preparing.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, number 7, most drop player. Hey, how about this guy? 146,000 drops. Bobby is Tank Bigsby.
Damn. The guy that was taking Etienne's job is now getting dropped. Wowzers. Color me surprised.
Etienne, he did such a great game last week. People are like, nah, there's no way Bigsby gets it back. Ain't no way.
I mean, he did get injured also. So that's another thing is he banged up his ankle for a guy who's already been banged up himself pretty badly this year. So gotta see how severe that is or isn't. But I mean, I'm getting it. I'm kind of dangerously close to getting rid of him just because I don't want ETN and I don't want him. So I'm
Right.
kind of tired of like holding up 2 bench spots for 2 mediocre guys. So
No, I get it.
I definitely get why he's being dropped because the whole team's just a dumpster fire. Plus, he's injured potentially seriously enough to where he couldn't even walk up under his own power with that ankle injury. And if it's like a high ankle or something, you could be looking at him being on IR, even if it's only 4 games. With the way that season's looking really lost, especially if they pull Lawrence, he'll probably get it pulled. ETN to get pulled. They'll just pull everybody and they'll start cleaning house. So,
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. They're about to start shutting a lot of seasons down here. Um,
yeah.
the season, unfortunately, really slipped away from the Jags there. Noah says at this point, if you're starting anyone but Kamara on the Saints, you're done for. That's true.
Yeah, pretty accurate. I mean, they have hope coming into next season now that Dennis Allen's fired. And the whole Kendra Miller saga has just been absolutely insane with putting a guy who might have been perfectly healthy on IR for the second half of the season to the point where it's like people were terrified to say something to Dennis Allen for putting him back on IR. So I don't even know where to begin with that story, but damn, if you're looking for a laugh, look into the Dennis Allen saga in the last few months before he got fired with Kendra Miller because it's fucking insane.
Yeah, no, that is a good read. Number 8, we don't have to talk about him too much. 138,000 drops. Dak Prescott. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude's is probably over here. I believe it is over. I remember I read that
Yeah.
he's getting hamstring surgery.
He's getting surgery and they're just not going to bring him back. You're probably going to see CD's probably going to not get as much time. Dowdle, even though Dowdle's not even that great, like any starter on that team, which God, outside of CD and Dak, you would think they'd do something with that team. But anyway,
Yeah.
they're gonna pull some starters. It's a lost season. Jerry Jones is senile. Jerry Jones, God, it's just talk about funny again. That dude is just saying some crazy shit now. Just every bit of criticism's just met with like such a great Jerryism. Like, what do you want us to do? Burn down the stadium because the sun's in our eyes when we play? Of course, we knew the sun would be in our eyes, and we still built it that way. Like,
Right.
what a dumpster fire! America's team should have way more money, way more resources, and should not be nearly as poverty stricken as it is.
No. Number 9, 136.9 thousand drops. Running back for the San Francisco 49ers, Jordan Mason. I don't agree with this one. I really don't. I mean, if that Achilles starts flaring up again on McCaffrey, Mason's just right back where he was before. And even if it doesn't, I feel like Mason still has a role in this offense with as banged up as the Niners have been.
That's tough because like I'd been watching him. I mean, he was great in the beginning of the season for like those first 3 weeks. And then after it felt like week 4 or 5, he was just so erratic. He himself was constantly with injury scares and like 2 shoulder injury scares and everything else. And then Garendo stepped in and was able to do just as much. I don't know. I guess if I am a CMC owner myself, then yeah, I'm keeping Jordan Mason. But if you're not a CMC owner, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure if you think he's going to have like a huge league winning role. He has more. I'd be looking if I didn't have CMC, I'd be looking to sell him to the CMC owner, see what I could still get. But if you would have been following along with our buy sell trade articles and our waiver wires, you would have known that I told you to sell Jordan Mason to the CMC owner for a king's ransom after week 2, and you would have already done that. So
Right. Right. No, this is Jerry Jones said he thought the team would be better this week without Dak. God. What that?
that's that is insane, and I almost think he's just joking, but I could also 100% see Jerry Jones saying that with 100% honesty on some bullshit Dallas radio station like, Cooper Rush is the future, and it's like, you don't have problems at quarterback, Jerry. You got a lot of problems, but they're not at quarterback.
I visited my grandma in her locked dementia unit this past weekend out in Kansas City, and I feel like that's some shit she would have said.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Like she don't remember me. She's just like, no, dude, they're gonna be better without Dak. Like, grandma, stop it. You're just saying that because
Right.
Cooper Rush is white.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. Like the funniest thing my aunt ever said to me before she passed away a few years ago when she was kind of experiencing cognitive decline
Mhm.
was she said 2 things that were really funny. The first was if the porcupine's in the barn and you burn it down, you can't expect to make licorice. And the second thing was Jaleel McLaughlin's going to take Javante Williams' job in 2024. So,
Jesus. She really was gone.
yeah, she was pretty shot at that point.
Yeah. Noah says he's got to be trolling. God, you would hope so. Number 10, Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, 132.3 thousand drops. I mean, I get it. This seems like a lost season for the Cowboys, so I mean, I don't know.
It's just
Like,
another pickup, put down guy that we've talked about like 5 times.
right? Right? What are you expecting? I mean, this guy saw 89. He's seen 89 or more percent of the snaps in 5 straight games. Like, I don't. Okay. He's not going to win you the week. He's not going to win you the week. But he has 2 more, like, orange defenses he has to face off against. And that is Carolina. Okay. And Philly. All the others are green. He's at Houston, Washington, Giants, Cincinnati, Tampa. I don't know. I just feel like this is a guy. Who are you dropping him for at this point?
Right.
I don't know.
Houston kind of scares me if they play everybody as hard as they played the Lions.
Right.
Are they capable of it? I mean, I didn't think they could do that to the Lions, so maybe they got something to prove on the defensive side of the ball. Philly, like I said, Philly's actually starting to get underrated again. They were overrated. Now I think they're underrated again. And then the other one you said, so Philly, Houston, and then the other orange matchup was
Carolina.
People are so bipolar on Carolina. That used to be like the pushover defense, and now sleepers like swinging the pendulum the other way drastically over, and it's like, oh my god, they're a shutdown defense, and it's like,
No, they're playing crap teams.
I know that's the thing about the sleeper little heat map thing. That thing has such huge bipolar swings back and forth. It's insane.
It does. He does. That's why you come here to read our articles and see the content we put out. No, this is Joe Biden going to buy the Cowboys. Hope y'all ready.
I mean, he could probably run the team better than Jerry Jones. Joe Biden seems a little bit more lucid as of late now that his homeboy won.
Man, I've been seeing some crazy Biden videos, but I don't know, man. That guy's in his own world. I'm happy for him. And then these guys, we already did our 10. Just the 2 beneath it are interesting to me. It's Mike Gesicki and Caleb Williams. Like, okay, but Tanner Hudson is the guy's name, the tight end for the Bengals. Like, okay, he had one good game. Like, Gesicki's been like the dude the rest of the season, and still didn't like have a bad game. What did Gesicki have? He had 9 targets, and 4. He had 4 receptions on those for 30 yards. So I was like, okay, I get it. The game before he had 6 targets, 5 receptions, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like, he used a tight end 1. And so then he comes in, he's tight end 23. Okay. I just don't get, like, who are you dropping Gesicki for?
If you're crying over Gesicki's performance last week after he's been doing pretty decent overall, considering what you're getting for a waiver wire tight end,
right?
Exactly. That's all I got to say to you. Just know he's unburdened by what has been and unbothered by what is to come.
I know. Maybe Noah's still in the comments, but just this, I don't know, man. Like, Caleb Williams has to turn around at some point, doesn't he?
I mean, in a dynasty league, I'm not giving up Caleb Williams. I'm not just dropping him to fucking waivers in a dynasty league and redraft, maybe. Redraft, it's encouraging that they fired Shane Waldron, the OC today.
Yes.
That's encouraging. But I watched a pretty convincing video from Football Analysis on YouTube, so shout out to them. I think they need to fire Eberflus too. If they fire Eberflus, that'd be good because he just made some very compelling points. One of them being that team is way too talented, at least on paper, to be as bad as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And he's starting to just put Caleb Williams through situations that could potentially just wreak havoc on a young developmental QB's psyche to the point where you're just going to rob them of that confidence and pretty much what makes them who they are and what you drafted them to be and why you drafted them. You're pretty much just neutering it. So if they can, Waldron's a step in the right direction. If they can boot Flus, I think it'll be another step. But I just don't get it. I just don't get what's going on in Chicago because now you ask yourself, is it Chicago or was it Justin Fields? Is it Chicago or is it literally every other quarterback they've had in their entire history? Because now it's starting to get a bit ridiculous that in the entire history of that damn team, I know that they're a pretty run heavy team, or at least in the past, they loved running the ball and that was their identity. And the forward pass didn't even get invented until this year and all that. But it's like, at what point do we really start to see that there's a problem that we've never had a quarterback throw for like what 3,000, 4,000 yards in a season or something like that? It's ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure it's 4,000.
Yeah. It's like
Um,
you never even really come close to that in the history of the organization. And it's like, I mean, Pittsburgh didn't ask much of Justin Fields other than doing what he does and getting what he got, in the words of Max Crosby. But I mean, he pretty much was everything Pittsburgh wanted while Russ was recovering, a perfect game manager, making minimal mistakes, just doing the bare minimum to win, but he was able to win. And it's like, is he really that bad? Did Chicago just stunt him? And that's now, you shouldn't be asking yourself this in the rookie year, 10 weeks in of a quarterback's
right.
career with his team. You shouldn't already be having those same thoughts. Is he just this bad and just that much of a bust? Because unfortunately, QBs do bust even in,
Right.
first rounds. Unfortunately, even the NFL itself, what I'm getting at is they struggle to pick talent at quarterback even in the first round that continues to go on and actually have success. Like I believe it was
First
2020
overall,
was,
Bryce
yeah,
Young last year.
right, Bryce Young. Like I believe the only outlier to that was like that 2020 class that had Hurts and Burrow and I think it was Tua and Lawrence and those guys is kind of like the outlier for quarterback talent. But you just shouldn't be. I get that it's hard, like I said, to find good quarterback talent, even for the NFL that dedicates nothing but time and scouts to this. But it's just I just don't want to call it quits on a guy 10 weeks into his career yet on a team that feels like it shouldn't be as bad. That you just have to ask you, what is it with DJ Moore, with Keenan Allen, with Rome Odunze, with DeAndre Swift, with Roshan Johnson, with an improved O line that had like two picks and like the first like nine, like a number one overall pick and like a number nine overall pick, I believe it was. Such good draft picks that they've had, and they just still look like there's been glimpses with Caleb Williams. He's shown flashes, but the team overall just should not be looking like this.
I agree. I think they need to hire the Detroit offensive coordinator this offseason. Fire Eberflus, get Ben Johnson in there, fix this team.
Yeah, they need something, man, because that they just look terrible. They just look terrible. Maybe Dave Canales can come over. I think he's with Carolina now. Uh, Jury's still out on Bryce Young, but hey, in the 2 weeks since he took back over in the starting job, they've had 2 wins. So, I mean, maybe that's who they need to go. Canales helped Baker Mayfield last season. This season, potentially helping Bryce Young. Next season, maybe Canales would be a good head coaching guy. He seems to kind of be like the quarterback whisperer right now. If this trend holds true, like I said, Baker was already transformed. He moved on. Baker's now doing what Baker does. If Bryce continues on down this trajectory and wins the rest of the season, he needs to be going to either the Titans or the Bears. So,
I agree. I agree, man. We got Noah. He says, I know it's not just the O line and play calling. Caleb has just been straight bad. Yes, he's missed a lot of throws. Every game, DeAndre Swift hasn't been running all over the defense. Caleb Williams hasn't been good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
there might only
mean,
be like one game where he's actually played decent.
I don't know. I feel like most of Caleb's problems, what I've seen from a throwing standpoint, is it shocking because it looks like he overthrows. You would
Yeah,
think he would be underthrowing, but he somehow overthrows guys. So I would think that would be easy enough with chemistry and reps and timing and practice that you'd be able to build that connection because at least you have the arm. The arm talent and the arm strength is what's hardest to build. It's kind of like you either have it or you don't. There's not really a way to get that. So I don't know. It's interesting to say the least. Like I said, is Chicago just a graveyard for quarterbacks? Maybe. I don't know, but they just they just shouldn't be that bad. At least, like I said, on paper with what they have. So it's just baffling how they are that bad. So
absolutely. Guys, we're going to be having a our Mike Tyson Jake Paul videos coming out tomorrow. So me and Bobby did break down that fight for you. I will have an article coming out about that fight too. An article coming out about my women's MMA plus 3.5. Bobby, I started a spreadsheet on that to keep track of everything. Make some graphs for the articles. So we take the plus 2.5 for every upset. Since we started doing that for the past month, do you know how many upsets we've had, like outright wins?
on the women's
Hmm.
article,
Like
three,
not the plus 3.5, but they like actually won the fight.
three. Oh wow, interesting.
Zero. Not a
Oh,
single. We haven't had a single upset yet. So once again, it's just 1 month of data, like 10 fights or so. But that's the only thing sticking out right now. Like I'm trying to find like correlations right now. So it's like trending yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So that's a little surprising. I thought we'd be seeing more wins with the plus 3.5 taking the points.
all right.
They're most of them are still going to decision, like we had anticipated. I think we've only had two, maybe three finishes. This article and this whole like experiment that we're running right now, which like as scientific as we're going, like I'm really like excited to see how far we can take this. But like the trending data is just weird right now, man. It's not turned
Yeah,
out the
that's
way I thought.
interesting. But that's also women's MMA, which is just nothing but anomaly after anomaly. So
Right. Right. And so I'm like trying to see like maybe if somebody's like minus 400 or higher, like you know what, don't even take the points. It's not worth it. But the highest one, Bobby, that one hit. That one was a yes.
hmm, interesting.
Yeah. So I'll write more about it in the article. Me and Bobby will be doing the UFC 309 video that'll be coming out on Friday. Um, Real quick, I just want to get your thoughts here. Just a little sneak preview for those who don't watch the MMA show, Tapping Vegas. This Jonathan Martinez versus Marcus McGee. Martinez got that win over Aldo, pushing him up against the cage, not doing a whole lot of anything. I know you're a big Marcus McGee guy. This fight seems like it's going to be really close, and I'm like having a hard time with this one. Like, what is there anything that's sticking out to you in this fight?
I picked that fight because when I looked at the odds a few days ago, believe McGee was the favorite, but nowhere near how big of a favorite I believe he should be. So I thought there was some good value to be had there. I just think Marcus McGee trains out of a good camp. He trains out of, I believe it's the MMA lab there in Phoenix. Benson Henderson, I think, is even like his coach, maybe something along those lines. At least trains there. A bunch of guys, I believe, at one point, TJ Dillashaw kind of did some training camps or at least some prep work there with Dwayne Ludwig. Just a really good camp that's out there in Arizona. I think he also hangs out a little bit with Sean O'Malley, probably spars and trains with him a little bit since they're both Phoenix guys. So, I mean, he's got that going for him. His striking has just looked incredible since he's come in. Very ferocious pace that he puts on, very aggressive, but intelligent with his aggressiveness. Doesn't really seem to be out of position, doesn't really seem to be opening himself up to get kind of teed off on. So it's kind of like a controlled aggression that I like to see. But he still has that killer instinct and just looks good, man. Just looks really good in the division. 9-1, so he's got a great record. What else do I like about him? So, yeah, 34, so a little old for bantamweight, but not a lot of miles, so that's promising. So not as much wear and tear associated with him. Bantamweight's a shark tank, but I mean Gaston Bolaños. We just saw Gaston Bolaños do
Yeah.
really well against Cortavius Ramos, and he TKO'd him in round 2 this January like nothing. JP Buys was okay at the time they met, but nothing special. But he still was able to steamroll him, which is a good litmus test by round 1 right hook. Dre Newsom was a pretty decent guy when they fought last year, rear naked sub over him like it was nothing. So I mean, he's on a 3-fight finish streak in the UFC, one by sub, two by strikes. Round 2 guys aren't making it out of round 2. Had some good competition at LFA. Lost one fight in LFA, won one, but still LFA is a good feeder organization. Did well in the regional scene, but I mean, nothing to really speak of there with the regional scene that he was on. Amateurs kind of started off a little eh. So, I mean, he's very young into his fight career, even though he's 34, which is encouraging because 34 is still young. And like I said, at least he also doesn't have that wear and tear. At a good gym, all finishes in the UFC, so his finishing power is translated. I need to keep watching some tape to go over the finer points of it, but just looks really great, man. And not that Jonathan Martinez doesn't, but I just feel like it's another case of okay, so you have the guy who's up and coming, kind of riding that vicious, ruthless aggression, and Marcus McGee versus Martinez, who's like, all right, dude, you held up Aldo against the fence. Okay,
Right.
not really wowed by that. Adrian Yanez, that was a good KO last October. Decision over Saeed. Not Nurmagomedov's not really doing it. KO and Cub Swanson not really doing it. So I mean, he definitely has the experience edge over Marcus McGee, especially in the UFC. Because I always forget, gosh, Jonathan Martinez has been in the UFC since 2018. That's insane. Feels like he's only been around for a few years, but been around since 2018. I'm just not really as wowed by him as I am McGee. It's kind of hard to articulate until I get some more tape study done, but it's just
Right.
like I'm just a McGee guy, man. I just think he's gonna at least crack top 10 in that division. Like I said, is a very tough division. It is a shark tank, but
Well, that's why I just want to give them just a quick taste. That you guys have to watch Tap in Vegas to get all of it. Uh, Two super quick questions before we get out of here. Um, who's more likely to get upset, Bo Nickel or John Jones?
oh, God.
Real
Ugh.
quick, gun to your head.
John Jones is more likely to get upset, I think. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm asking you between a minus 500 and minus 900. So the
Yeah.
answer is neither, but I appreciate
Right.
you picking. And my
Yeah.
second question, do you think we ever see Jones versus Aspinall? I say no.
No, he's already talking about if he wins now after this, he's already talking about what he's going to do after, which his plans are Alex Pereira for the BMF belt, which is just laughable because of all Nate Diaz is rolling over in his spliff right now because for all of the faults that Nate Diaz is not really a guy that's ducked anybody even when he probably should have. Like he didn't back down from the Hamzat fight until Hamzat missed weight by 7.5 pounds, and he didn't have a choice because the fight was canceled for him.
Mhm.
Didn't back down from Connor the first time. Didn't back down from Jorge. All terrible stylistic matchups for him. So it's just laughable. And Stipe is just as much to blame. I see a lot of people going on and on about John Jones. It takes two to tango. I blame Stipe just as much. I would be very curious to see what the purses are going to be for this because this man was just on Ariel Helwani saying as recently as 2 weeks ago he was doing 24-hour straight shifts, for his full-time job because he retired, because he became a full-time firefighter, because he hasn't fought in like what, 2, 3, 4 years now. I don't even know it's been so long because he's been retired and full-time doing 24-hour shifts 2 weeks ago in the middle of a fight camp for his job. So he's just as much responsible. If he's getting anything less than $1 million, I'm really upset that he's playing these shenanigans and just doing it as a money grab because I think if you're coming out of retirement and doing this to yourself with John Jones, because we know this isn't a legacy fight, even though John tries to convince himself it is, it damn sure isn't for Stipe. I don't even think we can argue that because he's gonna lose, and if anything, it's gonna hurt his legacy. I don't personally think I don't know his financial situation or whatever, but I mean, with already being retired, having a full time work and all that, you shouldn't be getting out of bed for less than 12 mil, especially against John Jones, especially with the drawing power of his name alone. Your name alone, it's gonna sell just based off that, and everybody's bitching about it. And like I personally am still gonna watch it also, regrettably, but I'm just being honest with you. So the
Right.
money that's gonna come in and everything else he better be getting paid, is all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. We do have a question from Arturo. He says, should I trade JJ? Darnold looked so bad. I
No.
I would say hold. I would
Yeah.
definitely say hold.
That was I mean, he's not been good, don't get me wrong. Darnold's not been good, but what are you trading JJ for? If you're getting a haul in exchange for JJ, so I'm looking at this
Yeah.
from redraft and I'll go to Dynasty. First of all, redraft, you have to be getting a haul. You have to be getting I would trade JJ and redraft for Jamar Chase, and it's going to be a very short list, but that's the point. Jamar Chase and who else? CD Lamb, not right now. DK, not right now. AJ
Amon
Brown,
Ra.
not right now. Amon Ra's tantalizing. It'd make me think, but I still feel like I'd still have to have another piece, especially with how bad Jared Goff looked in this past game. Recency bias, but
Mm.
nonetheless, in redraft. But it'd make me think. I'd just have to have another piece to push me over.
It depends on your team too, I think, Arturo. Like, what do you need? Do you set a receiver? Can you trade him? Do you need running back help? Do you need quarterback help? Because that's what I got rid of AJ Brown in Dynasty, which was a very hard pill to swallow, but I needed quarterback help bad. So I
No, good
lost a
point.
number one receiver, but I got a quarterback that I could start every week, and I got a running back too. So now I had a like solid starting two, but bye weeks and stuff are coming up, and then I have another guy I could throw in now. So if we knew more about your team, that helped. But yeah, we both at this point would say stick with JJ.
Yeah, good point for sure.
I'm gonna give real quick. Anybody else have any questions? Please throw them in the chat before we get off here. We're about to get off pretty soon. I just wanted to say my bets here real quick. You guys can find all these on what is this app even called? Bet Stamp. It's part of our American Betting League that we're a part of. We are top 10 over there, and that is between like a whole bunch of sports bettors over on Twitter. They threw us all this league, and we compete every day for this. I believe we are 6 because I started chasing really bad. I did a lot of Monday night bets, Bobby, and like none of them hit. Like I thought Kyron would get a touchdown. He didn't. The game just did not go the way I thought it would. So then I chased. I did $50 on the under like 7.5 for one of the hockey games, and it was under 6.5, and they had 6 goals. Bobby, they scored with 12 seconds left.
Gosh.
It would have saved my entire day. It would have saved every bad play I had. Instead, I went down an extra 5 units. Not even on an empty net, dude. Not even on an empty net. And it was a team that ended up losing still by like 3 or 4 goals.
That's just ridiculous.
I was sick to my stomach, but it's looking like we're having a pretty bounce back day today. Because I got Clinton Capella under. Oh, that's under. All right, well, never mind. This first one's a loser. Clinton Capella under 18.5 points. He's already at 27 points and rebounds. That one's a loser, but I do have the Winnipeg Jets at plus 113 money line. It is currently 8 minutes left to go in the game. They're up by 1. Bradley Beal over 21.5. That game just started. I'm on the New York Islanders plus the 1.5. I'm on Luka Doncic over 7.5 assists. Klay Thompson over 15.5 points. Back in Golden State facing his old team. And then Bobby, I'm like So like I just said, I threw around the 50 to try to cover my losses. Every once in a while, I'll do like a big play beforehand. Like when I'm chasing, once again, don't ever do this like in real life. This stuff is more like units tracked, but I threw 500 on John Jones.
Oh, there we go.
So, or sorry, not 500. I threw 50 on John Jones. So 5 units for 1 unit back. He's at minus 500. I just knew that line climbed any, like, because it's a $50 cap in this league that I wasn't even going to get a unit back. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to pounce on it now. 50 for 10. I had $40 on Denver plus the 8 last week. That one cashed easy. So I will have more UFC bets. I usually wait to place those until our video when we record. So like I know your thoughts and my thoughts as well, and then bet accordingly. That's the one I feel like I just had to get out in front of, that by the time we do record on Thursday, I feel like this line's going to be jacked way up.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Let's see what it is right now real quick before we get out of here. Right now, it's at, still minus 500 right now, but 83% of the bets.
Huh.
Add me on Discord, says Simralor33. What's up, buddy? All right. Guys, thank you for watching. We will see you guys next week to break down the Week 12 waivers. It is almost done. Bobby, we only have, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17? We've only got 6 more weeks of this. You're about to, and that's like one of the things, too, when I was doing all the articles and with these lives, all of a sudden, once fantasy football's over, like, football still goes on, but once fantasy's over, you're just like, damn, I've got, like, so much time in my week.
Yeah.
All that time that you spend on articles and these lives, like, it's so funny because you feel like you should be doing something. And you're just sitting there and you're just kind of twiddling your thumbs, like, you're like, God, man, like, I could be doing so much more.
Right. Or going back to MMA again. Start getting MMA articles back.
Absolutely. MMA articles. I kind of want, I don't know how I'm wanting to do this. I'm wanting to do more UFC DFS. I don't know if I want to do that in video form or if I want to do that like expanded in the articles. So I'm already doing the articles, the player in every lineup, the value play, and then the the fade player. Bobby, I killed it, dude. I was like top 2% this week. It was insane.
Dude, nice.
I was like 1,200 out of like what? Over 20,000, like 24, 26,000 people.
Damn, that's insane.
Yeah. I'm almost pulling into the hundreds now. I just feel like I'm getting so close. I was only 30 points off from being number 1 overall. I was like, damn.
That is insane. Wow.
Yeah. So we almost hit pretty big this past weekend. So I'm going to get you started on that too so we can make some money there. Guys, thank you for watching. We will see you guys on Friday's Tappy Vegas episode. Peace, everybody.
Peace.